So I will call the meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge. Jamie, would you start us off?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nina, would you please call the roll? Mayor Lynch? Here. Shauna Finley?
Here.
Jamie Lewis?
Here.
Steve Sonity?
Here.
Scott Williams?
Here.
We have minutes of the previous meeting. Did everybody get a chance to look at those?
Yes.
Motion to approve.
A second?
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the previous meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Mayor, before we get into the actual agenda, I'd like to mention something that happened this morning. I received a text from Colin Zilli indicating that he thought my email was hacked. Didn't know if he meant city email, private email, or what. As it turned out, nothing was hacked. But I did change my password on my city email. What had happened is someone created a bogus Gmail email, attached my name to it, sent it to Colin asking for this. Can we make a transfer of $7,640 today? Let me know in a return email so I can have the vendor info forwarded to you. So, you know, it's obviously a potential scam. I don't know if anybody else in the city received such an email, but obviously you don't want to respond. As it turned out, everything is okay, but obviously in today's network IT environments, you can't take these things lightly. So I just wanted to make everybody aware of that. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can't reply to a bunch of these. I got something similar to that the other day, and I just erased it off my phone. So just be aware that people are trying to do that, and we just can't fall victim to that. Okay, we have no old business. New business, fire rules and regulations change.
Yes, I think you guys all have the copies of our changes that we were proposing. It's a pretty simple change, actually. It has to do with our organizational change. Years ago, when we added the 3 shift commanders, we called them division chiefs. I'm not really sure why, to be honest with you. I didn't do it, but they basically they're being called something that they're not. They're actually battalion chiefs. There's no change in pay, no change in our rank structure. It's just a name change only for these people. So what you'll have there is chapter 2 of our rules and regs. Everywhere where it says division chief, they are changed to battalion chiefs. I did have everything highlighted in yellow, but I think you got a copy. I don't know if you can see yellow or copies of yellow. Basically, you'll see what has been removed is struck through on the rules and regs. And then battalion chief was added to some of that language. So again, there's no pay change, there's no change in rank. It's not a new position, which is renaming the position from division chief to battalion chief. The next 2 pages are, one of them is the actual rank structure that we have. The other part of this is we did remove a position called quartermaster. It wasn't done correctly. There wasn't a salary attached to it through the salary ordinance, so it ended up not being filled. There's still no salary attached to that quartermaster position. It's not even being called the right thing either. It's just things that were done before in the past. So I'm striking that completely out of our rank structure. And when we do decide to add that position that goes along with those job duties, we will name it correctly and we will do it correctly. Okay?
Who's doing those job duties now?
Basically, it was called quartermaster when it was actually a mechanic position. And based upon how things were being moved in the past, I believe it was called quartermaster just because they didn't want to get into a discussion about all the mechanic positions down at the police, the street department, versus them being removed from the park department and everything else that was going on at the time, having to do with the central service positions. So if we ever create that position, it would actually be a fire department mechanic. We'll call it what it is, and we'll attach a salary to it through the salary ordinance. Okay? So the bottom line is it got filled for a little while and by the person, and nothing turned out to be what that person thought it was going to be, so they stepped back out of it. It's still kind of on our radar, but if we're going to do it, we're going to do it correctly and do it the right way and make sure there's a salary attached to it and all that kind of thing. So, along with the job description. So that is our old structure, and then the 1 page where it says proposed with changes, that's basically just everything renamed and how the structure would be and all that kind of stuff. But like I said, basically wherever there's division chief, it's battalion chief now, and the quartermaster position has been removed from there. So again, it's all name and only, in name only. No salary or changes are attached to this. Our intent is after this, we will go to the ordinance committee and have them basically just clean up the salary ordinance where it says division chiefs and replace that with battalion chiefs, just so it's named correct. I tried to get out of doing that, but legal counsel decided that I should do that anyway. So,
If I may add, I serve as a liaison to the fire department, and it was discussed very thoroughly with the Fire Merit Board. They're in compliance and agreement with these changes. I know it was also discussed with the union as well, correct, Chief?
Yes, it was.
So I think the Chief's done a great job in taking the right steps to get these changes in place.
So Dan, do we need a motion to accept these changes for the Board of Works? Okay, I will entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to change the proposed organization chart for the fire department.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Tim. Great News Life 2020 advertising agreement. I don't see anybody here. This was formerly PortageLife.com or ValpoLife.com. We were actually the second city to sign on to this, and then for some reason or another we got out of it. I think this is a positive advertising for us to get the word out about what we're doing. I took the lowest cost package that they have. I didn't take the highest one. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me.
I just have one question. So we have Steel Shores, I think that's the name of the organization, Michael Gonzalez, who oversees a lot of he's going to do a lot of the coordination of some of the information that's happening and events happening in the city of Portage. Will they coordinate with him on some of these activities?
They will, but keeping in mind that Michael Gonzalez has a 3-month contract.
Okay, right.
So we will be talking about that again. Basically, right now, he's doing a lot of census work for us, so we can get our census numbers up. He is helping us with a few other things, but mostly he's working on the census right now. And I believe his contract is for, Scott, is it 25 hours a week?
Yeah.
25 hours a month. It's only 25 hours a month.
Gotcha.
So
And it only
he's-
runs till March 31st. I
Right.
think.
So this is a 1-year contract, and I think it's good for Portage. I mean, like I said, it gets us out in a positive way. We don't have a marketing person right now, so this is just limited resources at trying to get some outreach.
Thank you.
So my understanding is that they will follow our calendar very closely of events and participate in those events. Are we limited in any way in how many events they'll cover, or will they virtually cover every event that we ask them to?
Well, I think if you look at the agreement, they're saying 8 to 10 pieces of content or coverage. We can also submit things to them for their review and insertion into portagelife.com. So I think that that's about what we've agreed to now.
Because I think we have more than 8 to 10 pieces of content per year, so, and I know there's, they do a great job. I just wanted to make sure it's comprehensive enough and we're paying for the coverage that we would expect, so. I guess,
And we can monitor that. If there's any concerns or complaints, please, let me know.
and then we're going to take a look at Mr. Gonzalez's contract in the future, so we're not duplicating effort here.
Mhm.
Okay.
Thank you.
So do we have a motion to approve the Great News Life
Right.
agreement?
I make a motion to approve the Great News Live contract.
A second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. St. Peter Lutheran Church German Fest. I think Ro is here. Come on up, Ro. Tell us about what you're doing. You can stand right over here at the podium.
I'm from St. Peter's Lutheran Church, and we hold a German Fest event. This will be our 3rd year, if you guys let us have it. We have it at Founders Square. I believe this year the date is September
26th.
Thank you. September 26th, it's a Saturday. We have a German band for so many hours. Then also in the evening, we're gonna have another band. We do have a beer tent that's not on the square itself, but on the road. We have vendors that come for it. We'll have a kids zone. It's a great time. We've had, like I said, the last 2 years we've done it and pulled it off pretty clean. I don't know what else you want me to say.
That's probably enough. Hopefully it won't rain this year.
Yes,
We have a storm.
the Lord put us in a little
He
bind,
did.
but we ended up pulling
You
through.
guys
so it was awesome.
responded, yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Is there
Okay.
anything from the city standpoint that we maybe need to take into consideration as you continue to offer this event to the public? Is there anything that we should be aware of that we could provide? At no cost? I mean, just, I'm talking about the logistics
Yeah,
of it.
you know what, honestly, what was really cool was last year, Nativity let us use their fencing, and that was a huge, huge help in the operations. They let us use it for free, and then after the event, we returned it to Nativity's. I have not reached out to them to say if they can let us use it again, but it was a huge help as far as my aspect of the operations.
Yeah, I'm just thinking from the city standpoint.
As far as the city, everything has been really pretty good, actually. We haven't had any problems whatsoever. No one has informed us if we have to do anything different or if we've, messed up in some way, but,
Yeah,
no,
don't
it's been pretty
misunderstand
good.
me. I'm not suggesting that there was any complaints. I'm
Oh,
just
no,
concerned
I understand what you're saying.
As being a good partner with the church, is there anything?
Offhand, I cannot think of anything right now.
Okay.
It's been good, is all I can say.
That's good to hear.
I do have a question. Yes.
Councilperson Williams, I can't speak for the church themselves, and I can't speak for the fire department. But as for the police department, we have a very good relationship with the folks from German Fest. We coordinate things together. And, we feel on the law enforcement side, public safety, this is fine.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you.
Same here
That was
with,
my
we
question.
review their diagram as well, how they're gonna lay out. We just make sure that for safety reasons, we can get where we gotta go if there's a crowd. So
Okay.
we review that every year, so.
We have the hiccup, there's never any arguments.
Good to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, it's very positive.
They have good food.
And hopefully good beer.
Yeah, we import all of our German beer for that.
Yes, yeah.
That's good.
So, in essence, what do we have to make a motion to
Yes.
grant?
Do you
our-
have another question, Sean?
No,
Oh,
Ted and I made
Yes,
eye
we have to make
contact
a
across
motion
the
to
room.
approve,
but they don't get a permit, the contract.
right.
Okay. I make a motion to approve the contract for St. Peter Lutheran Church German Fest.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Ro.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Good
Thank
luck.
Thank you.
See you, September 26th.
Or come early, we always need help, right? Item D, Proven IT. Is someone here from IT from Proven?
So I guess I could chime in here. This is for a contract with Proven for the clerk treasurer's office and for field forces. We are not currently on the ADAR system that the city uses. So this would give us some space on the Amazon server that was approved with the Laserfish software. It would give me an application server that would allow all of the clerk treasurer's financial software to properly function, and then also store the data. And field forces also. And also a firewall. You guys could talk more about that if. So.
Yeah, so basically, when we did our walkthrough, we found out that clerk treasurer's office and field forces was not under ADAR, which meant that there was no security, no antivirus, essentially no protection for those two departments. Particularly, field forces didn't even have a firewall at their location, which is obviously a layer of security that you would want as an organization to essentially prevent stuff like this gentleman was talking about a little bit earlier ago. So the thought process was to implement a file server as well as a domain controller for the clerk treasurer's office, because right now they're using an outdated Windows 7 device that is completely out of space. So it's extremely hard for Nina to function. And we thought about putting in AWS because it gives you guys the ability to expand pretty rapidly if you guys need to. It's a lot easier to go ahead and just move a cursor versus having to buy additional hard drives, wait for us to get that in, bring that in, shut you guys down, install it, and then you guys go back up and running.
So this contract's mostly for the hardware,
So
or is it the whole?
it's the whole thing. So there's a piece of it that is the AWS instance, which is the server that we will tie in with what you guys already approved for the Laserfish. But then there's also the firewall that we're putting at Field Forces as well. And then overall to maintain and to manage it. So if there are any issues, we would remotely either fix it or come out and assist with any IT issues.
This contract's for 3 years.
Correct.
At the end of the 3 years, what happens to the equipment?
The equipment is yours. The only thing at the end of 3 years is, hopefully we do a good enough job for you guys that, we can just carry that on. But what we do is to make sure that we don't tie you guys into our organization for any length of time. So pretty much whatever hardware that we will purchase for you will be owned by the city of Portage.
Do you have a list of what hardware is included for this fee?
Yeah, pretty much it's the AWS instance and then the firewall for this initial piece right here.
So this price is only for the clerk treasurer's office and field forces?
Correct.
And this is it doesn't cover anything else. I noticed a lot of things on here say available for add-on. There's quite a bit of that. So that's
Yeah.
additional cost besides?
Yeah, so basically what we did there on the security side of things is we showed you all the other things outside of the scope of work that we're providing for you that we can actually provide for the city, right? So if you guys needed any additional resources, like if we wanted to get into any more in-depth security assessments, those are things that we can provide for you, but those aren't things that actually come with the service that we're offering.
So if my math is correct, it's $8,665 a month for 3 years.
No.
Okay, my math's not right.
Yes.
That's okay. You're
I
correct.
believe it was $4,700.
47, 26, 35.
Yes.
35 a month.
Yes.
What's that? So I'm looking at
Yeah.
these last two sheets.
Come share with you. That's the total amount right there.
Oh, okay.
There it is.
I added one number twice.
I'll take it.
As far as.
Oh, I see. The first page is a summary. Thank you.
I would, financially, I did find out that the clerk treasurer's office that's not on the ADAR system is being billed per user, like they're being supported by the ADAR system, and we're not. So there'll be a cost savings there. The utility girls in my office I'm also paying $1,100 approximately a month for them. So that can all be shifted around.
Clerk Treasurer Rivas, did you actually do the math to see how much you feel your department is being invoiced and billed for services from ADAR that you're not using?
About 11 individuals times about $1,100 a person.
That's
And
12,000 a
additional
month.
users that aren't employed anymore,
Is that per month or per year?
a month.
That's 12,000.
That's per year?
Is it per
No,
month?
a month.
Per month?
Per month? Yeah.
Yeah. I know, right?
Clerk.
And we're being charged by ADAR for that, Nina?
So.
Do you have any, do you have an ADAR contract? I haven't seen an ADAR contract that stipulates that.
Yes, I do have them. I just got a user list from Justin a couple of days ago, and I went through it with payroll. I can send you that right now. But the ADAR contract's an old contract that was entered into in 2015, and then there's been additional addendums to it.
I would ask Attorney Whitten his input on this. Obviously, this hinges on breach of contract, in my opinion. I don't know what the rest of
Agreed.
how the board feels.
Agreed.
When you're getting billed for services that, first of all, to an entity of the city that's not even under the contract, for these amounts, which is $12,100 a year, if indeed these numbers are, a month, I'm sorry, times 12. $144,000 and some change.
We're paying a DAR $32,000 a month approximately.
So Councilman Williams, I would need to look at the DAR contract again, irrespective of this proposal.
Yes.
Right, this is sort of standalone. She's not using the DAR
Right.
anyway, so I need to take a look and see, because the DAR contract has some language in it about breach and what happens with breach and their opportunity to cure and all sorts of things like that. So I would need to see a little bit of history. This is something I haven't.
Absolutely. And I'm not expecting you to give us a legal opinion right away without looking into it. You know, it's just, it's baffling and very disturbing that the city is under these set of circumstances. But in the big picture, it does make a difference in terms of how we move forward financially with the IT services in the clerk, treasurer, and field forces, because it appears that the money may be there and there actually may be some savings no matter who we go with because of this conduct by Adar. So here's where I am personally with this. I understand and I appreciate the sense of urgency that the clerk, treasurer, and field forces are facing. I understand that completely. I would just like 2 weeks to our next meeting for the attorney to review all this and make a recommendation how we're going to move forward with Adar. I just got this proven document this morning. And I need to study it. I think all of us need to. I'm not saying it's a bad contract. I'm not saying it's not the way to go. And I know we've kicked this tire a few times before. And we are looking at other alternatives as well. So my recommendation is to at least table this for 2 weeks to get a chance to look at the contract, and give our attorney a time to really delve into this Adar contract to see if there's some financial net benefit that we can gain, because it's going to be a battle with Adar, because that contract doesn't end to 2021. So they're going to fight it. And so meanwhile, and I understand, Nina, that you're not under the Adar contract, and I understand what you're trying to accomplish, believe me. But I think we have to look at the financial ramifications of the whole IT picture as we move forward.
Just, I guess I have a question then. So this is for Nina for a system that she's doesn't have right now. You're not using Adar.
Right.
So I wholeheartedly support the attorney looking into the Adar contract to see why we're being charged for something we're not using, and remedy that. But I'm a little concerned that if we keep putting stuff like this off, we are exposed. You didn't mention no firewall, and we start the meeting off talking about security. So my concern with tabling this, I think we're going to have to do this anyway. And so while we wait, what can happen? But I wholeheartedly agree with the Adar situation. That doesn't seem, that's a lot of money.
I have one more question as well. This is for the clerk treasurer. We met about this on 128. There was something else that you mentioned about Tyler Tech. How does this all fit into this?
So Laserfish replaced Tyler Tech.
Gotcha.
And they're
Okay.
they're working on getting that built, because that contract, we had to let them know we had to cancel by January 29th, because it was a 60-day. So that will expire March 1st. So they're behind the scenes building the Laserfish to be able to function, to replace the Tyler Tech with field forces and the building department.
And with Tyler Tech, the last time we met on 128, you stated there was about $120K a year that we were spending. Okay. So this would replace Tyler Tech, something we were already.
Tyler Tech was already replaced with Laserfish.
Okay, gotcha.
And that was $92,000 approximately. So there's
Okay.
cost savings there. Moving forward, after it gets initially built this year, it's maybe $60,000. I want to say off the top of my head.
Okay.
At the most, depending on hours, how much we're building and growing into it. This is separate.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
I think I have a couple of questions about these add-ons. I would like some prices attached to them because, as Scott said, we are looking at other companies. My goal is to have managed IT for the entire city under the same group of people. So we are looking at things, but now it's like comparing apples to oranges, because I don't know what these additional VCIO services are, what the costs are for all of that. Disaster recovery, you have a lot of things in here that say additional add-ons. So it's hard for us to compare other IT prices with this one when we're looking at all these add-ons that don't have any price tag on them.
Right. So the VCIO services comes with the plan that you guys have, which is the advanced plan that you have. And then in terms of the disaster recovery, when you build an AWS instance, we also include what's called snapshots. So if you look at that disaster recovery portion, you see that if it's on-prem, there's a data appliance that we typically implement. But if it's in the cloud, then there's an AWS snapshot, which also gives you the image of your system. So there is a backup that's already included with what we're proposing for you. And
But I'm looking at this and it's saying, you know, for VCIO it says essential, advanced, it just says available add-on. It doesn't say that it is part of this. So, you know, I guess for me to be able to make a decision for the entire city, I have to be able to make some comparisons here, and I'm not able to make them now. So I would like some more information into this. We just got this yesterday, you know, the board did. So I don't expect them to have to be able to go through this. We should get our information like this in a more reasonable time for the board members to look at it. So that's my comments.
Yeah, I'd just like to add to what the mayor's point. If you're going to recommend some add-on services that are going to cover our entire city, I'd like to see what break down exactly what those services are and what those additional costs are going to be. Is that something that, I mean, if something is already built into the AWS, then we're not going to get charged for that.
Correct.
But we need to know what additional services, as you know, support, hardware changes, software, things that we are going to need. And I'm not an IT expert, but you know, just to be able to do a side-by-side comparison, because it is not an apples comparison at this point. So we need to know what our monthly charges are going to be and broken down by those services and hardware and whatever you're recommending.
Right. Yeah, hardware is always going to be in addition to the support, because that's outside of the scope
Right.
and everything that we do. But we can definitely let you know what you know, a penetration test would cost you and things like that for those available security services.
So when you walked through, did you just walk through field forces and the clerk treasurer? What about the other departments? Did you go through all of them?
So that was the plan, and I believe Mike Podobnik was here, and we were going to do a network assessment for you guys, and I believe we're still doing that today after this. So it's virtually impossible for us to come in here and recommend something IT related for you guys without knowing the ins and outs of your system. So we were able to do a walkthrough with the field forces and the clerk treasurer's office. But to do a holistic presentation like you guys are saying for the full city, then we would need to gain access to the servers so that we can see how many devices are on there, what applications are being utilized, so that we can give you a full-on recommendation.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, because if I recall, you mentioned that you would be able to provide that assessment at no cost, correct? So if we're looking at, if our goal, and if it works out, is to have one IT vendor, then that assessment would be appreciated, and it may give you the information you need to provide us a comprehensive review of what the city needs.
Steve?
We're kind of, everybody's in kind of a different opinion. All I'm concerned about is that the clerk treasurer's office doesn't get hacked. I mean,
Right.
you know what I mean? And she needs that, because that office was left in disarray. And I don't know, is 2 weeks good enough? Will we know in 2 weeks at the next meeting where we stand, Scott or Mayor?
Can you guys do that assessment in 2 weeks?
We can do that assessment today,
Right.
and we can gather the information and get that to you probably by next week so that you have at least a week to review and see where you guys are at. The information that's going to be provided is going to be lengthy, and it's going to require myself to explain a lot of what's going on. So I, I mean, I'm talking about hundreds of pages. Obviously, we'll condense it so that it makes sense for you, but there's a lot of information that's on there.
Yeah, I'm looking at some things like policy development. Is it here as an additional available add-on, which is important when you're talking about developing your systems. You have those internal policies that you're gonna hold for us, but then we need to be made aware with those internal, as it relates to the network, is what I'm speaking of. And then the HIPAA compliance piece and the phishing. So that is a lot of high-level detail. You're right, and it would be very, very comprehensive. So as best as you possibly can, I know I love my IT people, but if you can put it in simple layman's terms for us, that would be very helpful.
Yes.
In a consideration, we're also talking about the monthly price, but if when Mr. Witten over here finds out that we are not included in the Adair contract, but we are paying for all those employees, there should be some substantial money in it. It would be called a breach of contract, and then we could dissolve it.
I don't want us to, here's what I don't want you to do. I don't want you to make the decision counting on the savings over there. When we talk about breach and opportunities to cure and who caused the breach, and there's some history here that none of us had because we weren't here, that I need to look at. So I don't want you to think, I'm a great lawyer. Don't get me wrong. I would like, I need a little bit of time to meet with Nina and kind of go through some of what she's talking about, kind of look at why that's happening, and then what our rights would be under the contract. And so I don't want you to make the decision on that.
Okay.
And then I emailed you guys all of the several add-ons to the contract, but in the initial contract, section 7.4, there is a termination for convenience clause that either party may terminate the agreement or service order for convenience at any time on 30 days advance written
We
notice.
talk about ADAR. I don't want to go any further.
Okay.
We're talking yet. We're talking about, I have every faith in the system that this will lead to litigation. So I want to not talk about any more.
I do have one more question, and this is for Proven IT. What are the differences between the essential and advanced? Because that's going to need to be spelled out to us as well.
Yeah, so a couple of the biggest differences. One is we have advanced AV on there. It's basically next-gen endpoint protection.
Gotcha.
And what that does is it comes with a 24-hour SOC, which is a Security Operations Center. So essentially, you have people that are watching your systems 24/7 on the advanced plan, which is what I propose for you guys. And so what happens there, the biggest difference between your regular antivirus, like Kaspersky, Norton, Symantec, all of those, they look at what they call signatures or hashes. So basically, when you look at it, it can only protect you from known viruses, right? So if, I send you an email, Mayor, it's going to quickly bounce to the national database and say, hey, does it have any of these signatures on it? If it doesn't, it lets it go through. But the tool that we utilize, it looks at behaviors. So I'll send you guys a PDF of everything that we compiled today.
Okay.
And if you click on it, and it does anything other than open Adobe Acrobat Reader, your computer gets removed from the network, and then we investigate it. So basically what that does is it limits the damage to basically the one computer, because ransomware today, the way that it does is it moves laterally. So it gets on your computer because you were the one that clicked the file. And then it gets to the mayor's computer, and if we find it on your computer, hackers doesn't care because it's still doing its thing on the mayor's computer, and essentially it's just going to go along and just get through all of your data and encrypt it. But what we do is we eliminate that, or we at least minimize that. And part of that too is we have, the system itself has basically what they do is they put fake, essentially fake bait for all of these hackers, so that they think that they're actually getting somewhere, whereas they're not. And so they're basically wasting their time doing that.
Gotcha.
Another huge difference between the essentials and the advanced plan is that it includes on-site support. So if we cannot fix anything remotely, we will come out on site and you guys will not build any additional fees for that.
Gotcha. That's important.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's important to know. And then one last question about this. In the advance, are there options for staff to be able to have those small snippets of training? Like
Yes.
if you get a flash drive, it could be a 5-minute
Right.
training. Don't pick up the flash drive.
Yep,
The
exactly.
example is the phishing.
Hover over
So-
the hyperlink on the emails,
Gotcha,
absolutely.
gotcha.
We do quarterly business reviews. You know, obviously, we look at each other's schedules and see when that permits. But we do quarterly business reviews, and we've done lunch and learns for our partners as well.
Okay.
Whether it's ransomware, whether it's just simple things on how to use Outlook, OWA, whatever the case might be, we have those conversations with you guys, and we try to figure out where your staff is struggling the most,
Okay.
and then we can tailor it to those people.
Based off the policies
Look at
especially,
the
because
trends
you'll be
that
able to
we're
know.
seeing from the tickets and what's going on.
Correct.
Right.
Say, okay, let's come in and go over this piece so that we can try to reduce these tickets or these issues that we're seeing coming through.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. That's all I had. Appreciate it.
One more question. So it sounds like there's some other proposal out there. When does the Board of Works hear about this? I'm not familiar with the procedure. So am I gonna, when should I expect to have something to look at? Or honestly, does the board get to look at two and say, we like this one? Does the city make that decision and bring that to us?
You will absolutely, but we're waiting for a couple other pieces of information.
Okay, but I'm just
From
thinking,
Monty.
do we get to see it before? Or
Absolutely.
does it
Yes.
just come and say, okay,
Gotcha.
here's
No.
what-
Absolutely.
Good question.
You will absolutely see it.
All right. When?
Well, we're hoping today that document will come to
Okay.
us.
I'm just really
And
uncomfortable.
then Adar is
with
the other
systems being
one.
exposed.
I mean, we're trying, we had a meeting scheduled up with Adar, and the gentleman that was coming, his mother passed away, so he had to cancel his meeting with us.
Okay. As long as we can get this done.
Yeah, because she needs to run reports.
Member Lewis, I appreciate what you're saying, and believe me, I'm just as concerned as you are. But at the same time, I want to make sure we're making the right decision.
I agree.
Financial.
If there's no further discussion, I will ask for a motion.
The motion is to table this for 2 weeks?
Yes.
For the next 2-week meeting, so I'll make a motion to table this for the next 2 weeks. And you guys gonna get us something by,
By next week.
okay, all right.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second to table for 2 weeks. Please do a roll call vote. Nina?
Mayor Lynch?
Yes.
Member Finley?
Yes.
Member Lewis?
Yes.
Member Sonity?
Yes.
Member Williams?
Yes.
So you guys will get that information to us really quickly. It's like kind of hard to compare all this, and
Absolutely.
we're just trying to get to having one managed IT. We're all over the place. We have several different people helping us with things, and that's not really our goal here. Our goal is to be able to go to one person and be able to work with them.
And now that the decision's been made to table it, you know, there'd be a couple big pieces I would say is one is when we run this assessment, we need to look at a day or time next week, towards the beginning of the week, to review this with you, because like Emmanuel said, I've seen these, it's like giving you an encyclopedia of your network and infrastructure, and it's a disaster trying to go through if you don't understand what you're looking at. So us to just come in and review what those results were, what we would recommend on it. And then the other thing to keep in mind is, as much as there's, you know, an existing contract with Adar, and, you know, whether that expires in a year from now, or whether there's, you know, a way that you guys find to make a change on that, you know, I think there's a very valid point about still making sure that the field forces and the clerk's office do get secured as quickly as possible, whether that be with Proven IT or any other company. I would recommend that you make sure those do get secured. And if it does become something that you say, we're going to do this now, or next week or 2 weeks, whatever it may be, we can still tell you this is what it's going to take down the line if we wanted to add the other departments and workstations, whatever it may be, and grow into it as that time comes as well. So it's not you're getting all or nothing, and these things can be adjusted, but I think giving you guys the information but also reviewing it with you is going to be very important.
Well, you're stressing a sense of urgency with field forces and the clerk treasurer, and I understand that. But what about our fire department? What about our police department? And what have you looked at all the other departments?
They're currently under contract. They're under
Right.
contract and being managed by a DAR.
I understand that.
We don't have any kind of oversight into what exactly they're doing without this network assessment.
So we will know more about
So we'll
that.
know
Okay.
more about that. Yeah.
That's where I was going. Okay. Okay. Item E, bulk item fee appeal. We have a bulk item fee appeal. Is someone here to speak to that?
That was all part of this part.
Nina, do you know how that got on the agenda?
No, Diane handles that. They've got a form, they just must not have showed up.
We haven't seen anything, so I guess we'll table that. Hopefully they'll show up at the next meeting. Major illness, Attorney Witten, have you looked at the major illness?
There were 5 of them that were presented to me, and frankly, 3 of them I couldn't sign as being in compliance because frankly there wasn't enough information for me to determine if they were compliant. So there's a couple of them that I've signed off on. I assume those are the ones that Nina has, and then there were 3 that I suggested that the clerk's office kick back to the department head to get more information. I would stress to the department heads that when you get these MI requests and they're woefully lacking in information, perhaps you want to, at that point, send it back rather than send it forward, knowing that I'm going to sign off on it. So that would be my suggestion. Causing delay, I just can't, and maybe they are all compliant, but I just don't, in the end, there's not enough information for me to say that. So there's a couple that I would recommend that you.
Do the department heads need to sit with you to understand what is needed on those major illness forms so that that doesn't get kicked back?
Yeah, so my plan of attack originally was when we have our next, or when you have your next department head meeting, I'm just going to takes all like 3 minutes to kind of go through it and say, here's where we've been missing it, and here's what I would ask and suggest that you make sure is on there, just to kind of keep it moving.
Okay, so we have 2 major illnesses needed. We need a motion to approve the 2 major illnesses presented.
I'll make a motion that we approve the 2 that have been approved by the attorney.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the 2 major illnesses. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. This is the public hearing portion of our meeting. Is there anyone here to speak?
Madam Mayor, the police department had something come up at the last minute.
Okay.
The police board, I'd like to address this issue.
Okay, Chief Uselak, you have to speak a little louder. I don't think that
Step forward.
we can pick you up there on the mic.
So the city ordinance requires that the Board of Works approves the agreements between the record companies on the police impound rotation and you guys approved the agreements. Nothing has changed since last year. It took us a little while to gather the proper paperwork. Chief and I went through all of the required insurance and all the requirements. That stuff will all be available from the clerk's office. But what I gave you today is the signed agreement. The agreement's the same as it was last year. The record companies are the same. I just wanted to show you that they were signed, and signed by the chief of police. And to keep them on our record list, we appreciate your approval so we can move on.
Ted, can I ask a question? I know at one point you, Chief Candiano, and I met about the proposed policy change. Is that happening yet?
No. So what we did was the document that we gave you and that you okayed.
Yes.
We went with that because it's too late, according to the ordinance, it's too late in the process for us to resell this horse. So once we get these going, we'll continue this way throughout the year, and then we'll evaluate that policy this year so then we're on time next year to implement the new policy if we find a policy that's better.
Okay, thanks.
So are these the three towing companies that we use for the city?
They're the same three.
Okay.
Filled out the paperwork and signed the agreement as we had last year.
And from
Again,
a,
it's not a contract. It's an agreement that they agree to do certain
Provide
things to be on this list.
so from a procedural standpoint, how do you rotate?
Yes, so we don't dispatch a record. So I'll make up a scenario. Sometimes the scenario is easier for folks to understand. So a police officer gets dispatched to a call, and it ends up that this person is either an abandoned vehicle or it's someone that's intoxicated, the car is going to be impounded, or it's a bad crash. So we use a bad crash for an example, the first example. If it's your car, I'm going to ask you, okay, obviously the car can't be driven. Would you like us to call a record? Yes. Do you have a preference? You get to pick your own. You're the citizen. If you say, no, I really don't know, I'm from out of town, we're going to call radio dispatch and say, send the next one on the list. We don't know who's the next on the list because it rotates consistently. Okay? Similarly, if you're arrested and you're going to jail and your car's going to get impounded, or your car's abandoned, and obviously at that point you're not going to tell me which record you want because we're going to impound that vehicle. And what we'll say is send the next one on the list.
Gotcha.
So we don't ask for a specific record. These put them on a list that dispatch at the county sheriff's department holds for us, and they track who's next on that.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense.
It does make sense, yes.
So I have another question then. So I'm a citizen and I have somebody else I want to call. That's okay if someone else calls?
If you're in
Do they have to
crash
be
or if you're
approved
abandoned,
to, okay, so it
No, that's
doesn't
none of our-
matter?
It's none of our business.
Okay.
It's your car, you want your car,
Okay.
you call who you want to call. Now, if I'm taking your car, you done something wrong, I'm taking your car, then it's gonna come like that.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Feel free to ask.
Oh, no,
Because
that's-
now I'm responsible up to that point.
So we just approve these agreements?
The agreements have not changed, they're covered, they've been cleared by the city attorney, so you would approve that these three agreements are acceptable to this board.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So do we have a motion to approve the three agreements presented by Chief Uselak?
I make a motion to approve the three different towing companies that Ted Uselak proposed to us.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ted.
Thank you, sir. If the board would like to review it, all of our documents now, all of our agreements will be stored. We'll keep our copies for our reference. I'll be giving
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Is there any other business deemed to come before the board? Hi, are you leaving or are you going to bring something to it? Okay, thank you.
We were getting excited.
Yeah, we thought he had something to say.
I do have one other item. For a couple months now, we've been looking into an invoice that's been submitted to us by a company called RetrieveX that was actually purchased by Access. Thanks to our attorney who did some digging into this, come to find out, this company is storing 130 boxes of blueprints and schematics somewhere in Illinois, which we have yet to find out the actual location. And the contract is up April 30th. April 3rd, I'm sorry, April 3rd. And they have not received any boxes from us since 2015, so there's been no activity. So I guess that's good or bad, no matter how you look at it. We've got to decide as a board. We have some open invoices that we have to pay under this agreement with them. And then in the near future, we have to decide, is there an alternative to storing these boxes, why they're being shipped all the way to Illinois when we have storage facilities in our backyard is beyond me, and I'm sure others as well. So we're paying $1,700 and some change a month for this service. I think there's probably a couple months of invoices. Is that true, Nina, that are still outstanding?
Correct.
I think we tabled it in January and February, so we owe them, based on my calculations, at least $3,400. So I don't know if we need additional information or what the board wants to do, but I just wanted to bring that update to your attention.
Are these documents that we're required to hold? Are they just, we don't know what they are?
I don't know.
We don't know what we don't know, essentially, right?
Yeah, what I know is this is what I've been able to link, exactly what Scott indicated. They believe that pretty much all of them are blueprints and schematics. Now, in talking with the building department early on, they weren't really familiar with what was in these boxes. But I think one of them said if it's blueprints, we have to keep them for a long, long time. So,
Have we ever had to go and get anything from them?
It doesn't seem like. They said there's been no action since 2015. So what I think we probably want to do here is we probably want to get a little more information on, more specifically what they're storing and see what our alternatives are. I think we have till the 3rd, so maybe in the next couple weeks I'll do a little more digging in the well.
For the next meeting.
Yeah, for the next meeting.
I suggest you build the shed.
Yeah, build a shed. I was
thinking
thinking
dumpster fire.
half this in my
So,
garage.
Dan, would those be kept in like an, and maybe AJ would know,
Control, I don't know.
like an airtight, climate controlled, so that they wouldn't disintegrate? I mean, would they be at a special facility?
You would think it would be a limited minimum climate control.
So what kind of prints are we talking about? Prints of what? Infrastructure?
So my understanding is they're the street files for all the addresses in the city of Portage since the city was a town. So that would be the record of every address and everything that took place between then and 2015. And I believe at some point then these things were all scanned and filed electronically.
So most of these historical documents that the Historical Association would appreciate, right?
Well, they do have a value to the record of a plan commission hearing, a board of zoning appeals, somebody comes in for a permit, somebody's looking to better understand if their property had a previous inspection on like the installation of a wood burning stove. So there's a lot of value to that information for the residents as well as us.
But we haven't went there in 5 years.
The building department has access to the digital files on their computer. They have
Right. That's what I'm kind of asking. It seems like we can keep this stuff, but really, what are we keeping? I mean, my business, there's certain things we have to keep and certain things we shred the minute we look at it, right?
So, and it looks like over the 5 years, that's been over $100,000 that we've spent storing these documents. So I think we need to look into getting them back here, finding a place for them, looking at what is in there, if that stuff is necessary to keep. But $100,000 over 5 years is quite a bit of money.
Well, I kind of make a motion that we table it to the next meeting upon Mr. Whitten taking a trip to Illinois and checking it out. No, fine, no, exactly.
Or somebody from the building department who know the value of the document
Yeah.
and the volume of those documents as opposed to maybe just payroll records and stuff.
And that would give us just under a month to cancel, not renew the contract.
Got it.
Okay.
Then make one recommendation on that when you're doing that, also check the state retention policies for the record type.
Right.
Some of them they will allow
I got
because
it.
you have the digital policy or digital record, but some they still say keep on paper.
Yeah, we've been down that road before.
So I'll restate that. I make a motion to table the discussion on the, pardon?
On the access for me to go to Illinois.
Yeah. To the next meeting pertaining to the storage fee that we are paying this company upon Mr. Witten checking that out further.
And I would suggest that maybe he talk to AJ,
Yes.
because
And Sandy.
I think that he may be helpful. AJ and Sandy might have more information to be able to help Dan. I mean, I think that asking, we don't even know where this facility is, so.
Not only will I bring AJ in, I'm happy to give him the entire task.
It's in southern Illinois. Have a nice trip.
It's in a mine shaft.
Okay, we have a motion by Steve to table the Retrievex. Are we going to pay the claims though to them that we currently owe them because,
I don't know how we don't, because we're getting
Yeah.
service.
There, so.
We should.
yeah. So we'll table to revisit the discussion on whether we're gonna keep Retrievex storage, but that's all that this motion is.
Right.
So do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to table this till next month. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. So then, is it in the claims again? Because sometimes we get them in there and then they're not back.
It's not in there, no.
It's not in there, so we need to amend the claims to add those 2 months of Retrievex payments in there. Is that how we do that, Nina?
Yes.
So they'll be included in this
They'll be included
disbursement?
in this disbursement.
When we approve the claims, we could be in with the amendment.
Are there any questions on the claims?
I just have one for Sandy, first page, the Reith Riley construction. Is that the final payment? That's,
Yes, workforce already authorized payment of that.
okay.
For some reason, the clerk's office got a different invoice and paid an incorrect invoice that didn't include retainage. So, we're just trying to rectify that issue.
Thank you.
And I have a few questions. Specifically, page 8, and keeping in mind that I'm new to the board, so my questions may seem a little odd. But what is our, I don't know if anyone's here to answer it either, what's our average cost for salt per month? Because when I totaled everything up for the salt that we just purchased, or it's about $61,000. So is that for the year, or? Yeah.
And I went over
We
this.
talked about this last time?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I missed it.
I'm sorry, Sean, I brought that up at the last meeting, and Superintendent Randy Reeder from the Street Department. We are in the Indiana Co-op,
Okay.
so we have to buy a certain amount, and we have bought a certain amount. We have a small storage, so we can't get it all at one time.
Okay.
So we top it off.
But I
Gotcha.
met with Randy on this yesterday. He said we're good for salt till the end of the year.
Okay.
But we still have some available in the storage that we can access if we need it, but he didn't
Perfect.
feel we needed it.
And then my other question was regarding landfill,
Yes.
because that was pretty, just what are our average costs for landfills? And is this a monthly cost?
Our landfill costs exceed $700,000 a year. Yeah. And Randy is going to be meeting with me and Dan to discuss that because there is, we're still in our contract with Republic, so that figure is going to stay the same until the contract runs out, which is, Nina, do you have the date on that contract? For
No, I don't.
Republic? Okay. I think it's next year or the year after. We're still in a good contract with them. But we do need to talk about that. We'll be meeting with Randy. He came and met with me yesterday and went through this whole claim sheet. And, yeah, our landfill costs are gonna go nowhere but up.
Yep, that's
You
true.
need to understand that.
That's true.
The China syndrome is impacting us. Less is going into the recycling and more is going into the trash because of China rejecting our stuff.
Okay.
So it's not that those items we put in our toter are not recyclable, it's that whether China is going to take them or not.
Okay.
The broader picture is we don't have recycling facilities in our country to manage our recyclables. Until we fix that problem, we're gonna be spending more money on landfill fees. And as landfills fill up and close, they're gonna go further distances. They're not siting new landfills, so it's going to affect us.
It is. And I still have two more questions. So on page 8 as well, there was some arm part. Does anyone have any information?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the arm on the truck that goes out and picks up your garbage. It's very expensive to replace, but we had to replace an arm. And just to let you know, we also, in the last snowstorm, an individual ran into our snowplow. She was an uninsured motorist, so Randy's going to be presenting a bill to us for over $8,000 for repair to our plow. So those are the kind of situations that we run into. Yes, that will be probably on the next one.
Perfect. And then my last question is regarding postage. What do we mail, and is that a monthly charge on page 9?
It's for utility billing.
Gotcha. So that's monthly.
Yes.
Okay. Got it. Thank you. I'm wondering, is there a way for us to direct people, just a question, towards using more internet? Because that's a lot of money.
It would be nice. Sherry and I have talked about even rolling back and going back to the old billing system, because it's with Unibilling, which is a newer company that was contract was entered into with them last year. It's been a nightmare. We found out we're the only municipality they're servicing, but there's no way I could do any billing with my equipment.
Gotcha.
I just have a question on that note. You said it's for utility billing? Why isn't why does that come out of the
Because they
civil?
came into my office.
Oh.
There's no, the utility service board doesn't exist.
Okay. So I know what to look for.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
Tina, that couldn't be split between storm and sanitary, or is it?
They reimburse for some, but also on that is garbage sanitation, so the bill.
Thank you so much.
So I think one thing I did suggest to Chris when he was the clerk treasurer, that maybe like the Bonner Center, go to places where you could get people to learn how to do it online, pay their bill online, or actually automatically, like I do, it's automatically paid every month. So that it does cut your workforce down, and your work. Don't you have a lot of over-the-counter payments and things that you have to process as well?
It fluctuates, but people also come in to pay ambulance, they come in to pay for building permits.
Okay.
I have a question. And I know this is all insurance related. Midwest operating engineers, like a lot of entries I haven't seen before. Is that an annual charge? Is that monthly? Is that quarterly?
We pay them about $5.9 million a year in insurance.
So this is like monthly then?
Very high. Are there any further questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the claims with an amendment, adding the 2 Retrievex bills.
Are we adding the $3,000 to the claim for the Grid Life people?
Great Life.
Great Life, yes.
Second.
Who motioned?
Dan, can I make a motion?
No, we have
Somebody
to make
else
the
has to
motion
make that
first.
motion.
Well.
So I'll make the motion to approve the claims with the addition of adding Great Life to the docket.
And the 2
And the
Retrievex.
2 Retrievex claims from January.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. If there is no further
No,
business.
Lori.
Lori, sorry.
Hey, Lori.
Gotta get to the. Yeah.
Your favorite thing, Lori?
You're on television.
Millions are watching.
Make Mama proud
Make
now.
her
Eventually.
nervous.
Make Mama proud.
My gosh.
Hello.
Hi.
So we have an employee who switched departments between December 31st and January 1st. And due to no fault of her own, there was a lapse in her full-time status for about 6 weeks. I would like to make a request to the board to bridge her time so that we can restore her vacation and her seniority.
All right.
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion that, go ahead, Steve, if you'd like.
I make a motion upon Superintendent Lori Wilkie, the Park Department, for this employee to be restored per his status, full-time status, and vacation pay and whatever else was involved.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion in 2 seconds. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Thank
There
you very
go,
much.
Lori. Is there any further business to come before the board? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you for all your great questions, everybody.